that has to do with the defection. The Supreme Court has also helped us to establish what called defection. That defection is not merely in the hands of the no, that you must change in the new a card of the new party alongside this resignation from your previous political party. Now, these are the things that naturally constitute defection by the Supreme Court recent judgment with respect to the River State situation.
Okay.
So, these actions must be. I think this is the fourth time between which anyone can actually do this. So, when this is done, the Speaker can now declare the seat of the said vacant.
Okay.
The said vacant. The circumstance. And there's also another part of it. Yeah. There's also another part of it which I also forgot. Another part of it where a House of Assembly member fails to participate in fails to participate in the activities of the House.
That's plenary.
So a certain number of days, which I can add on right now, for a certain number of days, people can as well declare the seats of that person vacant in that circumstance and in that light.
Right now, so looking at
the strength of that, those seats you are declared by Martins Wole.
But yet again, this is the argument I want to make. I'm not a lawyer, but from what you've explained just now, how to declare a seat vacant and how a lawmaker can, vacate the seats. I've just realized that if we go by the Supreme Court judgment on the factionalization of the House of Assembly, and according to your explanation of how the Supreme Court said they should all work together, that means that one, they have not resigned, defected. They have not they have not refused to join plenary for that amount of days. I mean, except now, if we are counting from the state of emergency, that has happened. So if that be the case, then just maybe your argument that rights is saying that they should be reintegrated into the House of Assembly. Going forward, how do we make sure? How do we put pressure on those in government, the corridors of power, to ensure that the constituencies are ably represented?
Now, I must also correct this impression. The Martins Wole led went ahead to declare the seat of this people vacant because they did not participate in the assembly activities for a number of times.
Yeah, I agree.
But do not forget, within that set time, they did not participate. They were still in court over the issue of speakership.
Yeah.
They were still in court, and Oko-Jumbo was still parading himself as Speaker of the House of Assembly because the matter was in court.
Okay.
Hope you understand where
I understand.
So, but it was on the strength of this that the House, that Martins now the seat of this will vacant, which some of us had raised concern and said no, it shouldn't have been done. Because looking at the political crisis that had rocked the state at the time. Now, going forward, if we must make progress at this point, I think constituents of these persons, of these House of Assembly members, need to, as a matter of fact, make a demand that their members should be returned back to the House of Assembly. And they as well go to their member, the member representing them, demanding them to return back to the House of Assembly. So the demand is in place that Martins Wole should let them get them back, or that this person should as well come back to the Assembly. Because whether you like it or not, these people are not representing themselves. They are representing a certain group of persons.
Okay.
And the interest of this is no matter the political differences and challenges that has bedeviled the state, no matter what it is, it has to be the has to be protected eventually. Because we cannot continue to have a situation where persons are just there, asking our assembly members, and they are not doing it, they are not properly represented in the House of Assembly. So this issue has to be resolved one way or the other. There has to be a way to go about it. But now another issue one would have even raised would have been to challenge these things in court.
Okay.
But these days with the ways our court deal with technicalities and deal with this the issues of jurisdiction, one would be scared to go to court to raise up this concern, especially members of the constituency, raising up this particular concern, because the court these days seem to rely more on technicalities than dealing with substantial issues that would address some of these challenges that the devil does as a people.
All right. Advisor Nwala, let's open the phone lines and get thoughts of Rivers people, especially people in these constituencies that we are talking about or referring to. 0817-923-0002 is the first number to call. 0817-923-0003 is the second number to call. And 0817-923-0007. These are the three numbers. Choose any one and call the studio right now, and I will take your opinions on the issue. Well, WhatsApp number, if you want to send WhatsApp messages, 0809-030-6416. That's the WhatsApp number. I'm taking my first call for this hour. 92.3 Nigeria Info. A beautiful evening to you. Welcome.
Mr. Canada, good evening.
Yeah.
And I greet your guest. My name is Chimadike. I'm talking for Mokuta.
But Nwala, can you hear him?
Hello?
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now? Mr. Canada, can I go on? You can interpret to him.
Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Canada, what we understand is that the assembly is an institution, you understand, that has modus of operandi, and there was no the assembly was shut down in the eyes of the law. Now, if the activities of Oko-Jumbo and the others, it is notorious, and no one has stopped them, just as your guest said, they should go to the assembly, then any law, anything they have offended, should be leveled before them. You understand what I'm talking about? Now the issue is that they are representing the constituency, and the constituency in that state has to call them to order. That you have to go and see what is happening there, because we are not fully represented. So me, I'm not really clear about it. If not because maybe the governor is bringing one or two things about it, there was no problem. Because the actual thing when they were voted is being done. The assembly has to make the law, and the government takes the executive order. If you want to decamp or want to defect, do well and defect, and do not bring anything about it. After people are defected, but the government defected and started bringing some illustration and some things, it's nothing that is not bringing all this problem.
All right, Chimadike, thank you very much. But Nwala, did you hear what he said? He said, I mean, if the argument is that there was no stop to legislative activities, then just maybe they are no longer lawmakers. Well, let's take another call. Let's take this one. We'll get back to that. 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Hello, Canada.
Yes, welcome. What's your name?
My name is Lawson. I'm calling from Enegua.
Lawson from Enegua, welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, the question I want to ask the lawyer is, you see, don't forget, if we refer Martins and Mewule kept complaining and telling Nigerian people that these sets of lawmakers are not sitting with them. They are not coming, and that there is a law that allows them to declare their seat vacant if they don't attend the legislative days. I think about 60 days or so. It's just a law within the Commonwealth countries. Most of them have it. Some for 60 days, some even for 15 days without permission. And it wasn't as if anybody stopped them. They were not coming. And following the Supreme Court ruling, it means Martin Abewe and his group, everything they did from the beginning was valid. And so if you count from those days, it is even more than the normal basic the constitution stated. So in that regard, can't their seats be declared vacant by the speaker? If you want to count from those days when it started and Oko-Jumbo and his group.
Listen, I get your question. For the one time, I'll have to let you go at the. This one says, Kala, when a lawyer like the one in your studio says is afraid to approach the courts because of distrust of technicalities, it means that the judiciary is now in limbo. That is your own understanding of it. And this one says, I have two simple questions for your guests. Before Guest says the Supreme Court judgment recognized those loyal to Fubara as members, I'd like to note the part of that judgment that says the 3 members loyal to Fubara remain members of the House, as he claims to. Does the Supreme Court declaration that Amir remains Speaker of the House not mean that all actions and declarations by him are valid, lawful, and legitimate? Bright Iberichuku from Iguruta. Now, Barrister Nwala, I think we would have to revisit part of the conversation where you tried to explain that the Supreme Court had said that the House should work together, because the few contributions I've taken via text or via call, the callers have insinuated, or the contributors have insinuated, that the actions of Martin are backed by law, and these 3 individuals or 4 individuals are no longer members of the House. Can you explain that part of the law or the Supreme Court judgment again, please?
Okay. I had explained and agreed with the argument that every action taken by Martin Miwule during the pendency of the crisis remains valid.
Okay.
Because there was no vacuum. Now, however, in the Supreme Court's decision, while confirming Martin Miwule as Speaker, there is a line in that judgment by Justice Ajim, which actually states clearly that the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly should work together for the interest of peace and progress of Rivers State. That was the judgment of the court. It simply means that technically knocked off whatever actions that was carried out in line with the declaration of the seats of these other people. And asking them to come together and work together for the interests of the states. It declares it invalid. And that is the argument I am hinging on, saying that right now, these guys are members of the House of Assembly on the strength of the Supreme Court judgment.
Interesting.
And that what the Speaker should naturally have done was to reintegrate them properly into the House of Assembly. There should be a reintegration process for them. I'm not keeping them aside. And that is where I stand on this particular principle. It does not invalidate the actions of the Speaker, but that same judgment that confirms that everything the Speaker has done is correct also says that they should go back and work together, including.
And of course, there is a political solution.
That's what I want us to understand.
And I was going to ask, and of course, there is a political solution to it, because. And I was also going to add, of course, there is a
political solution to it that brought peace amongst them. So, does the peace not include these 3 assembly members?
Interesting.
That's the question we should be asking ourselves.
Interesting. In a bit, I get your final take on this matter, but before I do, let's read this message. It says, yes, indeed, the Supreme Court asked them to go and work together. It was contained in the judgment. Ike from NAK is confirming. This is greetings, KDB. It's so unfortunate. One can't even pride himself as a proud Rivers man, because my state has always been in the news for the wrong reason and wrong things for up to 2 years. It is very sad and so unfortunate. When are we getting past this? How did we get here? Is asking. But Onata Clinton West says, Governor Fubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly, the fact is that there is no relative peace between both arms. Peace is priceless. Governor Fubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly should mellow down, give peace a chance, and give the dividends of democracy to the good people of Rivers State. I'm tired of this cold war between both arms of government. All right, I want to take Clinton West. Thank you. And Emmy Fiaga says, in lieu of 99 Constitution amended, I want to find out from your guests if it is lawful for a legislator whose resignation hasn't been acknowledged by the Speaker of the House of Assembly to pick up an appointment in the executive arm of government. And what does the law say in such situation in the case of Edison? Emmy Fiaga is asking. Let me get your final words, Barrister Nwala, please.
I think it's a sad situation we have found as a people. We are a bit suffer because of people's individual greed and wanting to control the political space of it. I'm saying this, I keep using this analogy, using Akwa Ibom as an example. Ababi was governor at Akwa Ibom. He brought a man called Odom Emmanuel. Odom Emmanuel went to Akwa Ibom. Ababi did not destroy Bible states.
Mm.
Udo wanted to leave governor. He brought some today. They have granted this state for 6 months. We are still suffering the full effect of that, and we never recover from it.
All right.
It's not time for us to continue in this particular pattern. We have to make progress as a state, one or the other. We have to make progress as a state.
I've got to go, but thank you very much, Vice Nwala, for your time. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.